Today we're test driving the all-new BMW X1 and we're going to do a fuel economy test to see how well it performs. As you can see right now, I have a full tank of fuel, and on this full tank, my fuel range is estimated to be 820 kilometers before I run completely out of fuel. You'll also notice that I have my trip meter on the bottom and it currently reads 0. We're going to be driving this over the week and see how many kilometers we complete, and after that we'll head to the gas station to see how much it costs to fill up, so stay tuned. Now let's do a highway fuel economy test to see what the lowest fuel economy we can achieve in the X1 is. You'll notice that I'm just going to be resetting my average fuel economy, and now it reads null. We're going to be driving this over several kilometers, and at the end we will see what our average fuel economy is. So let's get this test started. Just on a side note, I'm going to try to keep it around 100 kilometers an hour, but depending on traffic I might slip slightly lower than that. So just keep that in mind as we start this test. The reason we do this test over several kilometers is to average out our uphills and downhills as we drive. If we only did this test for 1 or 2 kilometers, then a lot of those kilometers could either be uphill or downhill. By doing it over a longer distance, we're able to average out those uphills and downhills like I mentioned. But as you can see, we've finished around 10 kilometers of highway driving, and the lowest average fuel economy we were able to achieve after our test was 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers. We just spent a week testing the BMW X1, and we have some numbers we would like to share with you. Unfortunately, I thought that this was the button to toggle the trip meter. Unfortunately, it's the button to reset the trip meter, which is why I hit it. And that reset my trip meter over here. But as you can see, we're at 5199 kilometers on our odometer. And if you take how much we started with and where we are now, which is 5199, we've driven a total of 491 kilometers. So we'll take that number and use it for our test as we calculate our fuel economy in the later part of this video. You'll also notice that we have our average fuel economy, which is 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Here you'll notice we're almost at the quarter marker on our fuel gauge. You'll also notice that we have a remaining fuel range of 253 kilometers. My driving conditions have been pretty basic. I haven't had the air conditioning or the heating on at all, but I have had the sound system on the whole time. Also worth mentioning is I did around 80% of my driving in the city and 20% on the highway, just to give you an idea of how I got the numbers that I did. You'll notice we're at the fuel station right now, and we're going to fill back up, and based on that we'll do some calculations to get a better idea of how much you can actually expect to spend on a full tank of fuel, as well as your actual fuel economy based on my driving. The minimum fuel requirement for the X1 is 89 octane. So you can see we filled an 89 octane fuel, and we spent $51.98 to fill up 41.9 liters of fuel, as I mentioned, at a fuel cost of $1.239 per liter. As you just saw, we spent $52 to fill up 42 liters of fuel at a fuel cost of $1.239 per liter. Also worth noting is the fuel tank capacity of the X1 is 61 liters or 16.1 gallons. First, let's calculate our actual fuel economy by taking the 491 kilometers that we've driven so far and dividing it by the 42 liters of fuel that we filled up. So 491 kilometers divided by 42 liters gives us 11.7 kilometers per liter. That means on every liter of fuel, you can expect 11.7 kilometers of driving. Now let's calculate our actual fuel range based on my driving, and we'll do that by taking the 11.7 kilometers per liter number that we achieved and multiplying it by the fuel tank capacity, which is 61 liters. So 11.7 kilometers per liter multiplied by 61 liters gives us 713.7 kilometers. That means on a full tank of fuel, based on my driving, you can expect 713.7 kilometers of driving. Now let's calculate our cost per kilometer, and we'll do that by taking the $52 that we filled up for and dividing it by the 491 kilometers that we drove. So $52 divided by 491 kilometers gives us 0.105. That means every kilometer in the X1 costs us 10.5 cents Canadian. And finally, Let's calculate the cost of a full tank of fuel. First, let's do it for Toronto, Canada, where the fuel price is $1.239 per litre. So $1.239 per litre, multiplied by the fuel tank capacity, which is 61 litres, gives us $75.58 Canadian. That means a full tank of fuel, if you were to fill up in Toronto, Canada, would cost you $75.58 Canadian. Now let's cross the border into Detroit, USA, where the fuel price is $2.30 per gallon. So $2.30 per gallon, multiplied by the fuel tank capacity, which is 16.1 gallons, gives us $37.03 US. That means a full tank of fuel, if you were to flip in Detroit, USA, would cost you $37.03 US. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our channel for more great fuel economy content. If you're interested in the fuel economy of other BMW SUVs, you can also watch our fuel economy review of the BMW X2 and the BMW X5. If you want to check out the fuel economy reviews of other luxury compact SUVs, you can check out our fuel economy review of the Infiniti QX50 as well as the Acura RDX on our channel.